Okay, so how are you guys?
Good.
Yeah, how was you guys' weekend?
Nice. It was warm here.
It was cold here.
So,
Probably the same temperature.
so Polly, where are you at, Polly?
Michigan.
You're in Michigan, and Miss Sharon is where?
Florida.
That's right. Okay, I agree with you, Miss Sharon. It's freezing down here.
Yes, it is. We're going to have to go to Michigan to get warm.
I'm telling you, I was just sitting outside with the blanket.
I've been inside with a sweater on all day.
Yeah,
I'm wearing a t-shirt. It's 63 degrees here today.
it's colder. Well, yeah, so it's colder than that here.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I've been following this Ahmaud Arbery trial. Are you guys familiar with that case or
Yes.
following it at all?
Yes.
What do you guys think about all of that?
Interesting. Very interesting. I don't have all the details on it, but there's way more to it than what we're hearing.
Yeah, there always is, isn't there?
Hmm.
There always is. So this is part two of our first interview that we have, excuse me, with Miss Polly, and we brought on Miss Sharon, which is William's mother.
Right. Say hi, Mom.
I'm here.
So we brought on Miss Sharon to discuss more in depth and in detail as far as what's going on with William and get a little more insight as to who William is. I know some of the responses that I got was people really wanting to know who is William and you know what kind of trouble did he get into and you know what his demeanor is today. So go ahead and fill us in, Miss Sharon, on some of those details.
Well, he got out of the military. While there, he was decorated as being one of the best men in the field by the Fifth Army
Mm,
infantry, cavalry. I'm sorry. Um, he he shot well enough to make the Fifth Army shooting team. He got out of the military, uh, came home. There was no work, and took him quite a while to get a job. And in the meantime, he got mixed up with some of the wrong people, and ultimately got himself into some trouble after his wife was. I don't know how to explain it, but she was not the best person in the world.
mm,
And he kind of started going. He was depressed. Which is no. I'm not making excuses. I'm just trying to give you facts.
mm,
Um, he he was very depressed. He ended up getting with a bunch of people that were breaking and entering, and that's what got him in his first trouble.
mm,
Well, he served his time and he came out. He straightened himself up. He was not involved in anything, and the court said that. They were very proud of him. However, they sentenced him 18 to 120 months because he didn't pay his restitution. However, he couldn't get a job when he started, and then when he finally did, he got hit in the head and they fired him for that. So it all went downhill after that.
mm. So let me ask you, because you know, Ms. Sharon, the premise of this show is not judgment at all, but really to understand how we get ourselves into the predicaments that we do, you know, and how we allow ourselves to get into these troubles, you know. So that shift, and you spoke on his wife, you know, do you think that that was the influence to his downfall, was whatever was going on with, you know, his relationship?
I think that was the beginning. He's responsible for his own actions. He
Of
made a
course.
decision. He knew better.
Hmm.
However, she was heavy into dope,
Mm.
and she had two teenage daughters. It was not a lifestyle that he was brought up in. And
How did he get intertwined with this female? Like, who was she? Where does she come from?
well, she was from Grand Rapids, but when he got out of the military, his friends he ran in high school were married and settled down with families. The ones that weren't were hanging out in the bars and picking up barflies. She was a barfly.
Mm.
And that's again, he made the choice.
Well, of course, we all make the choices, but you know, this is what I try to instill into my listeners, is the fact that, you know, a lot of us lead emotional lives. You know, I've been a criminal for most of my life, you know, and when I had to sit back and reflect on that, why was I doing these things? It's because I led an emotional life, you know. And there's a point, you're absolutely correct, where a choice has to be made, to where I'm sure at some point William knew in the back of his mind that this probably wasn't the best choice, and that was his rationale thinking. But emotions overtook that, because that's our comfort zone. That's what we're used to, is just getting what we want, doing what we want, you know, and just leading these emotional lives. And it's important to discuss these things, because this is how we get here. You know what I mean? Right here, right now, dealing with what we do, because it's a domino effect. One emotional decision leads into another, because you're constantly reacting to the last one, you know. So all of this spiraled out of control. Now he got anywhere from 18 months to 120 months, you said, for the restitution, because he couldn't pay the restitution because he got a job and he got hit in the head. What does that mean?
Well, he got hit in the head, and as many employers do. I was in a position of being able to hire and fire people most of my life. I didn't do it, but I know it was prevalent that somebody gets hurt and has an injury, and you get rid of them as fast as you can because your comp rates go up.
Right.
And so
we used to say if you fall off the roof, you're fired before you hit the ground.
Absolutely. Well, that and again, he had made over $2,000. He did his community service. He still couldn't get a job, so he went to the court and he said, "Can I continue to work at the recycle plant and take my money that I earn and pay it toward the restitution?" The court agreed. He earned another $2,000. He thought that money went to his restitution. It never did.
Because the court agreed that could be done.
Yes.
And
yes.
then in part one, we go into the breakdown of what happened. Would you agree with everything that Ms. Polly and I discussed in the first episode?
Yes, I went back and watched it, and basically the state admitted that he earned the money. They admitted the court gave it to them, but nobody could ever tell us what happened to it.
Even to this day?
Even to this day.
Okay,
and
so
he tried to explain that when they took him to court for not paying, that he had paid, he had made an effort to pay, and they said that wasn't their problem.
Right. This is at this time is when the judge made the comment that he felt that he could pay and that he chose not to, and that's why he sentenced him the way that he did.
He said, I think you could pay, and so I'm sentencing you. Now the problem the judge had is he failed to follow the court rulings on what you had to do if the person couldn't pay, and it's not lock them up. If they really can't pay, there's other options the court has.
Right, and he just went to option D, which was prison time.
However, Michigan, for that incarceration, is supposed to be a maximum of 90 days. And the judge sentenced him to 18 months to 120.
What was the name of the judge?
Kennedy in Lansing, Ingham County.
Is he still an active judge?
Oh, yes, he's a wonderful person.
Okay, so this ruling comes down from this judge. He sentenced him. It goes to the appellate court. The appellate court overturns this judge's rulings on the fact of his opinion and not facts, right?
That's correct.
Okay. And then the ruling goes back down to the lower court, and this is where I'm lost at. What happens?
Well, it really doesn't matter. If you take, I spent quite a bit of time this weekend. I took the opinion from the Michigan Court of Appeals and went into it. It references Bearden versus Georgia. And if you go in and read that, it's a U.S. Supreme Court decision. And if you go in and read that decision, it references several other U.S. Supreme Court, which I've also read. And basically what it says is you can't, if you do the time, you don't owe any money.
Mhm.
They can't just extend the sentence because they weren't able to, or didn't pay, or for whatever the reason. So if you incarcerate them, their debt is paid. It's done. And they did. And the attorneys all verify that we've talked to. And like I said, I've read all these opinions and I've got them all. That the old saying, 30 days or $30, $30 or 30 days, that's in one of these court opinions. I think it's Williams versus Illinois, where it goes in and explains if the court cannot extend your sentence because you didn't pay. And that's basically what he did. The court remanded it back and said that he must find out if he can pay, if he has the ability to pay. That's mandatory. It's right in the remand. And the judge didn't do it. He just said, time spent, amen, the end. Well, that's fine, but the debt is paid. I'm working on that now, that the Michigan Ombudsman, he's finally responded to me today. He hadn't been up until now. And he claims that's not his problem. Well, I think it is. It's anytime the Supreme Court steps in, that's Michigan law, whether they like it or not.
Who was this now?
The ombudsman for the Michigan Department of Corrections.
And what does he do?
He's supposed to represent the inmates if there is a violation of their rights. And there's plenty of them going on in there. One of the things they can't do if you file a grievance, they can't punish you. Well, they started right in punishing him. And I've done a timeline and it shows up very plainly when you look at the timeline.
Yeah, I mean, we know that's what goes on. Again, that's what I'm here for, is to try to just bring awareness to this so we can start raising these issues. Yeah, we have wrongful, convictions and innocence, and we have to get those guys out of prison, but we have to stop this corruption. This is terrorism on our own communities and our own, citizens that have issues. True enough, these people have issues, and that's what they go to these prisons for, is to fix these issues, and we're just terrorized.
Well, he had the VA had a volunteer come in, a psychiatrist, a lady come in to his unit, and he met with her on numerous occasions. She helped him develop a plan to keep his life clean. His attitude is 100% turned around, isn't it, Polly?
Oh, it is a lot.
You wouldn't know it was the same person. And he's got a plan to keep himself clean. I just hope he can follow it. But the VA down here has taken him under their wing and made arrangements for him to come here and get away from that element there. That's kind of where I am right now.
Well, but William's still being held as if he's incarcerated on different charges now. What is he incarcerated for now?
Drugs.
Okay.
Yes.
Was selling, or just had him on him?
Selling.
Okay. And what is his sentence now?
He will get out in June if he's met all the requirements for the parole board now.
And he's being punished how?
He's just in Saginaw prison.
Well, but as far as the restitution and such.
Oh, they're still taking money away from him. They double pay him in 1 month, and then they go in 2 days later and take all the money away from him. They've double paid him because of the $50. They're still sending it to Lansing, which they're not entitled to any money. And this is by design. This is not an accident. I'm pretty familiar with payroll and payroll companies and how they operate. And if somebody goes in and looks at an account to remove money, they can see they double paid. It's
all by design. It's all by these. Like you say, when it comes to accounting and numbers, it's hard to make mistakes unless you want to. But okay. So they're still taking money from. So he's working in prison.
Yes.
Okay. And how much does he make in prison?
He was making $29 a month, but since after he filed his grievance, he's now down to $25 a month for the same job.
So he's supposed to be making $29 a month.
Right.
Okay. And because of this grievance that he filed about the issue that we're now talking about, they retaliated by lowering his monthly pay to what again?
$25.08.
20. Okay, so $25. Now, out of that $25, what happens?
Well, they can't do anything with that, but what they do is they double pay him.
Okay, what does that mean?
If they issue him 2 checks, for example, they paid him twice in, or showed that they paid him twice in July.
For the same hours of work.
For the same hours of work, right. Now that got it, then Polly had put some money in there for him because he needed glasses, he can't see. Well, in double dipping, putting the 2 payrolls in there for July, they put him up above the $50 limit, then she put money in there, so all of a sudden they had lots of money to take away from him, and they did. But then in August, he didn't get any money at all because they'd already eaten it up in fines, paying back this supposedly restitution that he'd already served his time and paid.
So he has a $50 limit on his commissary because of this restitution ordeal.
That's correct. That's correct.
So what is the normal spending amount?
Well, if you don't have anything like that on you, someone get $300 a month.
$300 a month. So he's been reduced $250.
He can only, if he gets anything over 50, they take it away from him.
And how long has this been going on?
Day one, ever since he got there.
Well,
6.5 years ago.
6.5 years?
Yes.
This has been going on for 6.5 years. And even though that you guys have obviously been showing them that you have a court order showing that he owes no restitution.
Well, we didn't know until Polly got into this over them taking the money away and got the accounting from, which is interesting. We have 2 sets of books at Saginaw and got the accounting from them and saw that that was still there, but we didn't even know it till then, which was very recently.
I mean, this is some Shawshank type shit going on.
Oh, it is.
Who's the warden there?
It's a new one, and I looked at it the other day and I don't remember. We've been dealing with the deputy warden, Mrs. Walker, but she doesn't answer us anymore. She's the one that gave us an accounting that doesn't match their daily transaction summary.
See, this is why I say we need a national coalition of people that when something like this goes on, that we can demand that those books are opened. Like, we need to audit this prison and find out what's really going on. Like, who's watching these people?
The warden is Gary Miniard.
Who?
Gary Miniard, Miniard.
Carrie, as in for a male or female?
Gary, Gary, male.
Gary. Okay. Okay. Yeah, we need, because these are our family members in there. You know what I mean? And yes, I do believe that there is some punishment that needs to be required in those instances, because I am a firm believer that I had to be broken for my mindset to change. You know what I mean? But there also has to be programs implemented for when that happens, when I'm ready for that change, to welcome that change, that there are things for me to really to guide me and help me, which.
But their punishment as they had a CO last winter while they were all dealing with COVID. She was opening outer doors and windows and propping them open in the veterans unit, and then screaming at them if they put their coats on in the dead of winter.
And how do you know that?
From my brother and from the other women that I talked to in the group of that I told you about. And I know you're in communication with some of them. And
that's the warden was doing that?
No, one of the corrections officers.
Oh, the correction officer. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
So William has been reduced to $250 down to $50, and because he grieved against this issue, he has been reduced down to $25.04. And you're talking about they're double paying him. Okay, so now when they double pay him, where does the fraudulent money go?
We
Well,
don't know.
they say it's going to Lansing, but we don't know that. They said that $2,000 he earned in Grand Rapids at the recycle plant went to Lansing, but it got lost.
Who says that specifically?
The corrections officers in Lansing and also in Grand Rapids. I've got emails from 4 or 5 of them, different ones pointing fingers at different places, and none of them could come up. Kyle Williams, the probation officer, head of the department in Lansing, probation, was at my house and told me he could show me where that money went. I said, well, show me. He had the file in his hand. He opened the file up and he could not produce anything that accounted for that money. Nothing. He said, well, I'll get back to the office and send it to you. Until I called him and nagged him, he never called me back, nor could he account for the money. He said, well, it must have gone to some other department. And I said, well, what department might you think it was? Well, one of them said, well, it was for tether. But then he said, no, we waive those. We don't charge tether fees. So they're all pointing fingers, but none of them. His probation officer in Grand Rapids is the one that tracked it down and verified that, yes, he earned the money. Yes, it was turned over to the corrections department. And that's the end of what she knew.
I wonder if we can get the probation officer to come on the show.
I don't know. I doubt it, because if they say one word, you know what's going to happen to them.
Yeah, but he's already documented that what you just said. So, I mean, what's the difference? He's just coming on, repeating what he's documented.
I don't know. You can try. Kyle Williams is the one in Lansing, probation department.
So, okay. And nobody's taken ownership. Nobody knows where it landed, but everybody agrees that it got sent to Lansing, but nobody knows.
Right. You know, money just gets lost, comes and goes, you know?
Well, I need to be at the tail end of that, because I'm looking everywhere for it and I can never find it. But I hear you. People always losing money everywhere. Trust me. I'm lucky if I find a dime on the ground.
Me too. And then I try to find out who dropped it.
So where are we at now? It's just closed doors. Everybody just closed the doors on you?
Well, they're trying, but I sent you some copies, blind copies of some
I did.
emails.
And are you getting responses to those?
Yeah, he hadn't responded, but he finally did today. And then, you know, he sent this letter to my son saying, well, you can only file one issue at a time. And, you know, so that's why I was responding to him. Well, as it turned, what I'm doing now, I'm preparing his complaints. There are 4 separate ones that I'm compiling for my son with all the documentation, and I'm going to send it to him in a couple of days. I do them, then I like to take a few days to think about it before I send them.
Amen. Premise of the show. Hear that, people. Listen to this woman. That's words of wisdom.
Yeah, usually I think of something I forgot or put something in wrong or left out a punctuation mark. I agree with you. Something needs to be done. We've never, my daughter nor I, either one, have ever complained about a sentence for this crime. He committed it, he can do the time. He knew what the consequences were, his problem. I do object when I can't separate the cops and the robbers. And right now,
You know, let me share this here with you. You know, I just had an incident where here in Florida, I'm a legalized MMU card holder, and I was at a location, and I'm just sitting away from. It's in the middle of the night. It's probably, I don't know, well, 10, 11 o'clock, right? And I'm just sitting in the vehicle, and I'm smoking a bowl. Away, there's nobody around me. I'm the only vehicle here. You know what I mean? It's outside of a hotel is where I'm staying at. You know. And I'm just sitting there, and I'm going through my social media, and I hear somebody park behind me in a parking lot, but I know there's grass in between because there's another hotel that sits behind me. So I hear somebody pull up behind me, and I hear grass, you know, somebody walking in the grass to my left. And I turn around and look in the seat. I'm in the passenger seat. When I turn around and I look, there's a cop on my right because I have my door open, you know? So I have my little one hitter and just a little bit of weed there, you know, whatever. And so now he's standing right in my doorway. You know, again, I have no idea who it is. It scared the hell out of me because I wasn't expecting somebody. I just was expecting a bum or somebody to be walking through the grass behind me. I just wanted to see who it was, you know.
Mhm.
So he tells me, he's like, you know, step out of the car. I'm like, for what? You know, step out of the car for what? So when he said that, he says, okay, you want to do this the hard way. He reaches in and grabs both of my wrists, right? So now I brace myself in the car. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, come out of the car now. I said, listen, man, let go of my wrists. Officer, listen, I'm a citizen. Let go of my wrists, you know? And he tells me, he says, I'm not going to let go of your wrists. He says, get out of the car now. So when he says that, I said, listen, I'm going to get out of the car, but I'm asking you, please, not to manhandle me and let go of my wrist. You have no right to be grabbing a hold of me right now. He says, whether you got marijuana in the car and we don't know what else you got in the car. I said, that's fine. I said, I'll come out, but you don't have to manhandle me. So, you know, they let me get out. They put me in handcuffs, sit me on the ground, you know, and they're standing, they're towering over me, asking me all these questions. The other cop doesn't even ask me if about consent about to go into the vehicle. He just says, you know, I have the right to go into the vehicle now because of marijuana, blah, blah, blah. Tears the vehicle up, standing over me, finds out it took him about 20 minutes to find out that I was a registered card holder. Then he wants to try to lie to me about where I can and can't smoke, you know? So it's, afterwards, you know, they finally took the cuffs off me and I told him, I said, you know, this is the problem. You know, this is the problem right here. I said, this is the problem that we have with you guys is this right here. There was no reason for you, none whatsoever for you to approach me the way that you did. Your whole tactic was intimidation and fear to put over me. And I said, it's just wrong. And I said, you wonder why the community has the problem that they have with you. This is why. The one cop's excuse was the fact that, well, we don't know who you are. You're sitting in this car. We know you're doing illegal activities. You could have a gun in the seat. This is why I grabbed your wrist, such and such.
Marijuana is legal in Florida.
Medically, you have to have a medical
Right.
card. Yes, and you have to, like, if you have to smoke in a private location, your home or your vehicle, but it has to be away from people and such. You can't just walk around smoking because you're a card holder. You know, you just pretty much have
Right.
to respect your environment and such. So, and I do that. You know, I didn't want to smoke in the people's hotel. I went outside. I tried to do what I can do, you know, but I have back issues. I got knee issues. I got anxiety issues, PTSD issues, and I don't want to take these people's pills. So I'd rather do the natural element, and that's my right to do that. And I felt like I felt like they were Gestapo. You know, that's the problem is I felt like these people were Gestapo, and I let them know that, you know. And this is the issue that we have is this right here. We trust our government. We trust our police officers. We trust our correctional officers to handle us in the fashion that they swore they would do when they took the oath in their job.
Right.
And it's not happening. You know, the way that the cop was trying, and this is, you're talking, maybe he was 22. Both of them was maybe 22, 20. You're talking about kids. You know what I mean? And their presence trying to stand over me and intimidate me. You know what I mean? And it was just, I felt like they were Gestapo, you know, and
Right.
it's just uncalled for, you know, and it has to stop. So like Miss Sharon says, it has to stop. This has to stop. It has to be uncovered. The prison is raping our families, they're raping our communities, they're raping our pockets, you know, and
Yeah.
they're laughing in our face, and what they're doing is cruel and unusual punishment against its own citizens that they're releasing back into the communities.
Well, the penalty is serving in prison, but the prison guards and warden, they have rules too. and they're not following them. If my son has got to follow them, so do they. I hold them accountable. I hold him accountable. Again, we've never complained about where he is because he earned it all by himself. He made all these decisions, but we do support him, and he knows that. And we want a better life for him. But it's up to him. He's going to have to decide that's what he wants. Now, he says he has, but we'll see. And as long as he behaves himself, he's got a home, he's got a place to live, he's got a vehicle to drive, and he's got all kinds of support. My sister is a psychiatric nurse, and she's there for him.
And the Thomas Freeman Show is here for him as well. So he's more, welcome to reach out. Side panel, we can, I'll communicate with him and help guide him in any kind of way, because you're absolutely correct. And again, this is what I say, the premise of the show, words without action they're just empty words. They're meaningless. They don't mean anything. And eventually people are going to stop listening to them. So it's like, I think what the issue is, what the breakdown is that we are thinking, like how Miss Sharon just described, that prison is supposed to be rehabilitation. We expect our loved ones to go there, rehabilitate themselves, come home, but it's not. Like you say, the penal part of this whole process is the crime itself. You getting caught, you going to court, you being separated from your life, and you being punished to a certain extent to go to a rehabilitative phase. That's what's supposed to happen. That's what we think in our minds is supposed to happen, but that is not the agenda. That's not the design that they had. Remember, prison was built to keep Black people enslaved for the most part, to finish the railroads, to build the corporations down here in the South Corridor. That's what prisons were built for. And that design has continued. It still is.
I refer to them as the Michigan Department of Corruption. I see no correction in the system.
Well, Michigan's the #1 corrupt state in the nation, and you have Governor Whitmer that just loves taking these snapshots on Twitter, of her and her, what was her historic moment, the tampon thing, and that her claim.
Yeah, they're going to save women a whole 40 cents a month. It's going to be great.
Well, she did something landmark for Michigan, so kudos to her.
Well, I get emails from her 2 or 3 a day about all the wonderful things she's doing. I'm impressed, I'll tell you.
Well,
one thing I would like.
We'll have innocent people in prison, so.
Yeah, I would, if I can ever be of any service, I'm pretty good at research. I'm pretty good at reading opinions. If I can be of any service to you, all you've got to do is reach out. I'm more than happy to do it.
Well, I appreciate that. And the work that you sent me and the letters that you sent me, I know that your word is bond. So I know you put in some good work. So I absolutely probably throw some things your way. I definitely have some big cases that I'm trying to wrestle in now. I'm getting issues trying to connect with an inmate in Lakeland CI. So it's trying to wrestle down this contact person in Lakeland CI. So if any listeners know who I can contact, there's an inmate there I need to get interviewed, and one down in Mississippi. The thing with Mississippi is they have one person that you contact, but when you call, she don't answer and she never returns your call. So these are the problems. These are the problems. These are our loved ones in prison, and we don't have access to them. The communities don't. But yet you're releasing them into our communities. These are the problems. This is what we have to attack.
Well, I blame the incarcerating him for the not paying his debt as part of the reason he's where he is, because it just kept beating him down when he was living at home with us. And
yeah,
he was doing so well. And the judge said, "You're clean, you have passed all your drug tests, I'm really proud of you, but I'm giving you 18 to 120 months."
Yeah.
And then you serve almost a year of that, and then it gets reversed and remanded, and they say, "Okay, go home." you know, that you're so demoralized, and that, again, it's not an excuse. It's just the way it is.
Yeah. Well, these are the issues that we face. And again, going back to what I said earlier about the decisions, you know, there's been opportunities for me to commit crime. There has been, you know, and because my eye is trained for that, you know, it's been trained for that my whole life. And again, it's me telling myself like, no, you know, it's number one, it's just no, you know, that's over with. It's me wanting to do things the right way for a change. You know, that's what I told myself is my whole life. I've always wanted to take the easy shortcuts and, you know, and do things the wrong way because at the time they looked like instant wins, you know, and then they've never amounted to anything. So I've spent my life doing that. I owe at least just one good try to doing things right. You know what I mean? Just doing things the right way. Let me give that one good old country Florida boy try, you know, and let's see how that works out. And it's been paying off for me. It really has. You know, the amounts of love, positivity that I've been getting from just people that I don't even know, you know, and it's, I won't jeopardize that ever again, you know. So this is where we have to get William into seeing that and believing that, having faith in that, knowing that the hard work in the right way, it does pay off.
Well, he's very impressed with the VA here because this gal here is a tiger. Let me tell you, she jumps in and grabs a hold with her teeth and you can't shake her loose. And she's been able to accomplish things that nobody else has been able to get done. And I'm just so pleased with her. She signed him in here. This will be his medical facility. She'll get him a job. He'll be working and taken. She's going to put him in a class here for some of his mental issues, which he needs, and he recognizes that.
Good. Step one.
I'm hoping that this will be the opportunity for him to turn it around, but it's up to him.
Yeah. Well, no, I think he'll be all right. I think he'll be okay this time. So we have 1 minute left. Anything you ladies want to say?
Just
Thank you.
thank you so much for what you do. And if we can help, please let us help you.
Just spreading awareness, you know, just letting people know about the channel and just, yeah, what my word is, what I'm doing. That's the only way we're going to be able to gain unity is for people to know. So thank you ladies for coming and sharing, and stay blessed. God bless, and just keep the stress down. And I'm here for you ladies as well. So
Thank you so much.
And I'll keep you in the loop.
absolutely. Keep me in the loop, Mama Dukes.
Will do.
All right. I love you guys. Sleep well. Stay safe. All right.
Thank you. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.